Today on Politics Unplugged, Arizona Secretary of State Adrian Fontes slammed President Trump's latest executive order that creates a national voter list. So what does one of his challengers think? We speak with him. New polling reveals Trump's handling of the economy hits a new low. And we look at the dumbest fight in Arizona's governor's race. The panel gives us their take now on Politics Unplugged. Good evening. I'm political editor Dennis Welch, and this is Politics Unplugged. And this is an election year, which means the Secretary of State is front and center in state politics. This year, Adrian Fontes is facing a challenge from the right as state lawmaker Alexander Kolodin runs in the Republican primary. He joins us now to talk about this. Thank you very much. I believe this is the first time you've been here as a candidate here for Secretary of State. So as always, just want to give you your 30 seconds, kind of your elevator pitch, why you're running, what do you want to do?
Well, thank you for having me on, Dennis. My name is Alexander Kolodin. I'm running for Secretary of State to restore transparency and lawfulness to our elections. Our current Secretary of State, Adrian Fontes, he has lost over and over and over again in court for breaking the law or making up his own laws. The voters of Arizona deserve better, and I am running so that the voters will get the election system that they deserve and can have confidence in.
All right, well, we teased this at the beginning of the show. Let's talk about the President Trump and his latest executive order. He wants to create basically a federal pre-approved list for mail-in voters. I want to get your thoughts on this. Is this an idea that you support?
What President Trump is doing has to do with the United States Postal Service. And obviously, the President of the United States is in charge of the U.S. Postal Service, not the Arizona Secretary of State. What I am focused on is implementing solutions, including many bipartisan solutions, that make our election system more efficient, more transparent, and more convenient for Arizona voters, as well as more secure. That's been my track record in the legislature. I have authored and passed bills that implemented legally binding rules for how to validate the identity of early voters. I have authored and passed bills that allow for voters to present ID when they bring back their early ballot, skipping the signature verification process, which will begin to speed up election results this year. And those are the sorts of common sense solutions I'm focused on delivering as Arizona Secretary of State.
Yeah, but when it comes to the president's executive order, Adrian Fontes, the guy you want to face in the fall, has slammed this idea. He says that Donald Trump is attempting to pick his own voters, to pick voters in the upcoming midterm election. Do you support this idea?
Well, Dennis, the voters that the president is attempting to, quote unquote, pick would be voters who are United States citizens. And I think every Arizonan, or almost every Arizonan, supports the idea that you should have to be a United States citizen to vote in our state's elections.
Well, we have to prove that to register to vote already. I mean, that was approved by voters back in 2004.
And Adrian Fontes has gone to court and is currently in front of the United States Supreme Court trying to block that measure along with his progressive NGO allies. He's been fighting against this for years, Dennis. It is time to get a Secretary of State in who wishes to implement the will of Arizona voters to make sure that we only have lawful U.S. citizens on our voter rolls.
So still, final time I'll ask this then, so do you support what the president's doing with this executive order, yes or no?
Well, Dennis, like I said, my focus is on those areas that the Arizona Secretary of State can control, making sure that we're ensuring that only U.S. citizens are on our voter rolls, that we're checking them, that we're keeping them clean, not going to court like Adrian Fontes in an effort to block repeated attempts to clean up those voter rolls.
And again, there's already ID requirements, citizenship requirements already in this state. So we'll just move on from there. I want to get your your thoughts. Again, President Trump called mail-in voting, he called it mail-in cheating. What do you think about mail-in voting? Do you support this?
Well, Dennis, my track record is one of implementing bipartisan, common sense reforms that make our mail-in voting system more secure. I've already talked to you about the signature verification requirements and standards, things that we've done to allow the presentation of ID in order to help those mail-in votes be tabulated more quickly. But one of the things that Adrian Fontes has repeatedly done, first as Maricopa County Recorder and as Arizona Secretary of State, is he has intentionally made it more difficult for mail-in voters to actually cast a ballot. When he was Maricopa County Recorder, he intentionally underseated early vote centers in conservative areas. In other words, he didn't put enough early vote centers in conservative areas because he wanted to make it harder for people he disagreed with to vote. And every year I have voters in my district call me up and say, Alex, I was going to vote. I like to drop off my mail-in ballot at the polls, but I wasn't able to do that because something came up and the nearest polling place was 15 miles away. You can thank Adrian Fontes for starting that pattern in practice. When I'm Secretary of State, I'm going to be dedicated to making sure that voters have conveniently located polling places that allow them to cast a ballot easily and conveniently.
Now, dedicated polling places, are you going to make sure that they are going to be able to cast those votes by mail? Do you like vote by mail?
The Secretary of State is not responsible for policy. That's the province of the legislature, the people of Arizona. I'm going to take whatever election system the people and the legislature prescribe, and I'm going to run that system as efficiently, as securely, and as conveniently as possible. I understand that Arizonans, we like our absentee ballots. There's a long history of that in the state. That's the system that the people of Arizona have chosen, and I'm going to make sure that it's run as smoothly as possible.
Sure, and the legislature does make that policy, and right now you're running a bill to get something on the ballot right now. I believe it's HCR 2001. This would make some big election changes. Critics have argued that this would hurt mail-in voting, would put up a lot of blockades and more roadblocks for people who want to vote by mail, and it could really damage that program. And in fact, your primary opponent, Gina Swoboda, has accused you of admitting such in a meeting, that this is aimed at killing mail-in voting. How do you respond to that?
I think what she said precisely was that I admitted such in a meeting with her and an attorney from Katie Hobbs's office. Now, that is one fevered imagination. I am not interested in responding to my opponent's hallucinations. I'm interested in this campaign of talking about the facts and talking about how Adrian Fontes has repeatedly failed to follow the law and how we need a Secretary of State who finally will.
Yeah, I understand you don't want to respond to the accusations, but that story is out there, and people might be looking to you. Who like mail-in voting. 84% of Arizonans vote by mail, and may want some assurances from you that this bill that you're trying to send to the ballot is not some sort of Trojan horse to try to kill mail-in voting in the future.
Well, look, Dennis, the bill is an extremely short measure. Voters can read it for themselves. It's HCR 2001 on the legislature's website. And I think when voters do, they're going to see that Adrian Fontes has completely and totally lied to them about what this does. This bill makes voting more convenient. It makes it more secure. It gives us faster election results. It in no way takes away or even inconveniences voters in the slightest way, no matter how they choose to vote.
Okay, and again, this bill again brings up more identification requirements, things like that to vote in Arizona, particularly vote by mail. Voters rejected a similar measure back in 2022. I believe it was Prop 309. Why do we need another ballot measure this year?
Oh, look, Dennis, voters across the state tell pollsters repeatedly, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, that they overwhelmingly support the idea that voters should have to present ID no matter how they choose to vote. That's a common sense, equal protection thing that Arizonans want, and we want to give the voters the opportunity to choose that system for themselves. And if they don't want that system for whatever reason, they're going to be free to reject that measure, but we know that they won't, because we know that it is something that the people of this state have been asking for a long time.
All right, Alexander Kolodin, candidate for Secretary of State, thanks for stopping by here, and we're going to have to wrap this up right now. But up next, I'm bringing in our panel to talk about all this week's major headlines, including the latest poll numbers on President Trump's handling of the economy. That's next here on Politics Unplugged.
Tacos, polls, and soaring gas prices. Here's your political roundup. President Donald Trump signed an executive order to create a national list of approved mail-in voters, and the Democratic National Party is suing to block the president from limiting voting ahead of the midterms. The U.S. Supreme Court appeared to cast doubt on President Trump's order to restrict birthright citizenship. In an unprecedented move, the commander-in-chief attended the proceeding and didn't like what he heard. When it was over, Trump posted kangaroo court. New polling shows President Trump's popularity has taken a hit with gas prices soaring and the ongoing war in Iran. A pair of recent polls show his approval rating in the mid to low 30s. Speaking of gas prices, Arizona politicians are proposing what they can to lower the cost. While Governor Hobbs has said she's open to pausing the state gas tax, Senator Ruben Gallego wants the IRS to boost the mileage reduction rate for workers and small businesses. And finally, you might roll your eyes at the latest fight in the race for Arizona governor. The incumbent, Katie Hobbs, is challenging one of her opponents, Andy Biggs, to eat a taco on camera. At the same time, Hobbs won't commit to a debate this fall. And that is your political roundup for the week.
And let's bring in the panel to talk about all of that. Republican consultant Marcus Dell'Artino and Democrat Adam Kinsey. Thanks for being here, man. A lot to unpack here this week. Let's start with the president's polling numbers this week. CNN, I think, overall approval rating had a new poll out at 35%. I believe a Massachusetts poll had him at 33%. And this is considerably lower because we've seen the president hover around 40% in the overall polling averages out here. Is this going to get better or worse for the president, and why?
You sure you don't want to talk about men's basketball? Wildcats? Bear down, Cats. Listen, we're in the middle of a war. And so I would, as of 2 hours ago, we've got a missing pilot. So it's things like this that are going to make it difficult to close this chasm. We've got to get prices down. Inflation is the number one topic being discussed as you fold into economics, and then you've got the war going on. So some of these things, when he says it's going to be over in 2 weeks, we actually really need to get it over in 2 weeks. I doubt that that's achievable, to be perfectly blunt with you. But I've been sounding this alarm for a few months here. We're going into midterms. This is a big hill to climb.
And one of the more interesting data points too in the CNN poll, I believe his handling of the economy, which was a big reason why he was elected in 2024. Remember, he was going to bring prices down and jobs were going to be coming back and whatnot. His handling of the economy, 31% approval rating.
His handling of the economy has been abysmal, obviously. We've seen prices continue to go up, prices continue to climb, and the overall health of the economy is not where he promised it would be on day one. Not surprising. I mean, this is not an accomplished public figure in economics. It's going to get worse. The cost of everything is going up. We haven't even seen the trickle-down effect of rising gas prices on goods and services. Those prices will continue to go up. So the only thing that is worse than his handling of the economy in terms of public polling now is the war in Iran, and neither the war in Iran nor the economy are going to be getting better anytime soon. And the ramifications of that are going to be lasting. And the coattails that have been there, that have elected this entire generation of Freedom Caucus folks, they're not there. And the more they continue to lash themselves onto Trump, the worse it's going to be for them in the midterms. And none of them have gotten the memo so far. We see the next Turning Point rally is coming out next week here in Arizona. It'll be interesting to see if anybody skips it. I'm guessing probably they won't. And so you've got, whether it's Andy Biggs or your previous guest, I mean, you've got a lot of folks who are still very much indebted and very much tied to Trump. And I think you're going to see the voters show them the door.
And let's talk about Trump and his executive order on mail-in voting. Obviously very popular here in Arizona. 84% of voters in Arizona vote by mail. He wants to create basically a federal list of pre-approved voters who can vote by mail. How is that going to go over here?
Listen, we almost invented early vote by mail here in Arizona, right? And I am in a difficult spot because as a Republican, I know that we have dominated vote by mail. And the time that we did not perform well at the state level was a time we stutter-stepped on whether we were going to vote by mail. And the president was saying, don't vote by mail, you got to show up. And guess what? It cost us a governorship, a secretary of state, a couple other races. And so I would say, and by the way, this is already, he's been sued over it, I think about 5 minutes after he signed that order. I don't think it's going to hold because constitutionally it's a state's issue. And so I think that we are going to be the status quo. I think we're making a mountain out of a molehill right now.
It's not going to hold. You're right. It's unconstitutional what he's trying to do, but rhetorically, it's going to have a chilling effect again on Republican vote by mail, where they get their marching orders from Trump. So he's really kind of hurting himself twice here. One, his policy is not going to ever see the light of day, and two, you're telling Republicans that the way they vote is the wrong way to vote, and you're going to see Republican voting possibly hurt by this.
Yeah, and I was going to say, Mark, just get your thoughts real quick on Alexander Kolodin, the previous guest. He wasn't exactly, giving reassuring comments that he was 100% fully supportive of mail-in voting, correct?
I think what he was saying, and I think he said it pretty clearly, is that it is a policy decision. And, there's been former Secretary of States who've made a policy decision that isn't their right to make. It's the dome of the legislature. That is their lane to make election policy, and he's going to follow whatever policy they set forth.
And what was your take from
I don't think he said anything clearly in that interview, to be perfectly fair. I think he is in a very difficult position where, as Marcus said, Republicans do like to vote by mail. We all do. But the president, who you've got to court the president and you've got to court the voters, and those two things are in conflict right now. And I think, reading between the lines, he was punting basically and saying that I'm going to do my best to find a solution to the problem of people who are not citizens voting. That problem does not exist, by the way. So he's going to find solutions to problems we don't have, but it's a very fine line that he has to tread here, because he doesn't want to implement any new policies. He does think that's the legislature's purview. So I think rhetorically he's going to be anti undocumented people voting, but when it comes time to actually put policy to paper, I think he's going to largely defer.
All right, let's take a quick break right now, and when we come back, we'll talk about the governor's race and how it's getting kind of dumb right now. That's next on Politics Unplugged. And to get more in-depth on the issues, check out the Politics Unplugged podcast. This week, I'm joined by Maricopa County Supervisor Steve Gallardo. The Politics Unplugged podcast drops every Sunday evening wherever you get your podcast. And let's bring the panel back in. Thank you for sticking around, and let's jump into this governor's race. And you got to give a little background on this, but right now one of the fights is over a taco, and who's going to eat a taco on camera. Now this goes back to Katie Hobbs went down to Southern Arizona to talk to small businesses down there. She was at I believe some taco trucks down there, and she wanted to highlight the problem with inflation and how it's hurting small businesses. Andy Biggs, who is running for the Republican nomination, then gets asked on a conservative radio site if he'd eat a taco on camera, and he says no, he wouldn't. And so then the governor releases this video right here, and then I'll get your comments on the other side of this.
Congressman, my first question for you is, would you eat a taco on camera?
No, I don't think so.
What?
Let's start with you, Adam. Don't we have better things to be arguing about in Arizona with rising gas prices and housing costs and all these other things, water?
I'm not sure who the journalist was who asked Congressman Biggs that question. I would have probably started my questioning with, why did you vote against releasing the Epstein files? That's probably where I would have started, but I'm just a hack, so I don't know. I think, this is a very serious issue, though. We need to get to the bottom of it. Corn versus flour, I think, is what we should really be talking about. And I don't even know if Andy Biggs knows there's a difference. Shots fired.
And I get your thoughts on this. I mean, as you said during the break, you're a big fan of the taco.
I was making tacos when I heard about this story for the family, and flour, by the way. It's a little fun thing that we do during campaign time, lighten the mood a little bit and get a jab in at the same time. But to your point, and frankly, I would say this to Andy Biggs on TV, the president's coming to town next week. Please, for the love of God, talk to him about water, because that's going to be the only way we get out of this mess that we've got coming. And that being said, I propose that the next debate, if a debate gets scheduled, it is at a Mexican food restaurant.
Well, and Dennis, okay, part of the onus is on you of why these questions get asked, because
Okay.
We're talking about it. I mean, I know it's a silly thing, but we're talking about it.
Yeah,
so, like,
you're
if
right.
I'm the comms director and I'm pitching ideas, this isn't the dumbest one if it's going to get us ink.
Yeah, I mean, it might not be the dumbest one, but does anybody really benefit from this? Are you winning votes by arguing over tacos? I have a hard time seeing that yes or no on that one.
I think everybody wants to be relatable.
Yeah.
I mean, now people vote on their gut more than anything now, and so if I'm the governor and I hear my opponent is not a fan of tacos, sure, I'll take 5 seconds out of my time and out of my day and say, yeah, let's have some tacos.
But what about the issue? The other part of this was the debate issue. Now, when Hobbs said, it was asked about this, she says that Andy Biggs still hasn't agreed to accept the election results of Arizona. I did ask Andy Biggs, his campaign, about that. They did send me a statement saying that he would accept the results of the election. I followed up by even if he lost, and they said yes, even if he lost, he would accept the results of the election. But Katie Hobbs has still not agreed to do a debate. Now, we know back in 2022, she skipped out on several debates with Carrie Lake. Is this going to be a problem for her this year?
Has he admitted that the 2020 election wasn't rigged? I think that's another question. I mean, this is
Sure.
a pretty fringy candidate here, and I realize that he's probably going to be the GOP nominee. But first of all, I don't think it hurt the governor, obviously, that she didn't debate last time.
Well,
so,
clearly she won.
Clearly she won. There's more discussion about will they or won't they debate than the actual debates, because nobody watches the debates for the most part. Certainly undecided voters who make decisions at the last second rarely watch debates. So it's not actually moving the needle a whole lot. So there's more conversation about the debate than people actually watching the debate itself. Personally, I think there should be a debate at a taco shop. I can think of a few.
And will she debate?
No idea.
And what do you think? Do you think the governor will debate on this, and what would you advise her to do?
I think debating is so 2010. I think we're past it.
Okay.
No, I don't think she's going to agree to a debate. I could be proven wrong. I think Andy Biggs is going to capitalize on that and pound her relentlessly with messaging about how she's afraid to debate him. I don't think they're finally going to get to a debate.
All right, and let's talk a little bit about gas prices and what some of the local politicians are doing here. I mean, our gas prices are just soaring out of control. We saw this week. This week we saw Ruben Gallego. He's pitching to boost the mileage reimbursement rate. He wants the IRS to do this. The good thing he says about that is you don't need Congress, and Congress can't really accomplish a whole lot these days. So he thinks that could be a good thing to do. Senator Kelly, I believe, has talked about pausing the federal gas tax, and Governor Hobbs has said she's open to pausing the state gas tax on this. I mean, is there anything else you think politicians should be doing in this moment right now?
One of the other proposals out there, and I think is not a bad idea, is getting temporarily getting a waiver from the EPA to get us off this boutique formula that Arizona has. So for those of you in Maricopa County and Pima County, you get a special blend of gas that only we get, and it causes us to pay more at the pump. And we go through it at least twice a year when they switch blends. We see that spike, but now we're seeing a big spike in gas prices. But that would be, in addition to those other things, something to bring the price down.
I think Senator Gallego also proposed that, or was at least openly talking about that. So I agree. I think that is a solution worth exploring. I think the other solutions about pausing gas tax all make sense. I think from the political standpoint, the prices are going to get worse before they get better, and we have not even seen goods and services going up because of those prices, because of the high gas prices yet. So that pain is going to be not just at the pump, but in every other facet of life. And the political damage is going to be done, and people are going to squarely put the blame at the feet of the president and his party.
All right, we're going to just ran out of time there, but that we'll have to join us next week for more Politics Unplugged. Good night, y'all.